Hi folks, this is Dave with the Bit Journal broadcast. Last week I did a first impression on Dragon Marked for Death by IntiCreates for the Nintendo Switch. This is my review of Dragon Marked for Death. So, first thing I want to mention is, I really, if you couldn't tell from the first impression, I really love the graphics in this game. I would go as far as saying that the artwork is exceptional. I love the way the characters are drawn, the backgrounds, the level design, just everything about this game just screams beautiful. It's incredible. The amount of time that the artists put into drawing all of the sprites, all of the background art, just everything. I mean, look at the animation and the characters over here. That breathing pattern looks perfect. And all the characters, they just seem to be unique. Even the NPCs, look at this guy, Sal. I'm probably never going to talk to this guy again, but, you know, he looks important in some way, shape, or form. Even this map, everything, the colors. The color palette is amazing. The shading on the ground, it's exceptional, and this is what I look for in a good 2D experience. Now, gameplay-wise, what I can really, truly appreciate about Dragon Marked for Death... Oh boy, I'm poisoned already, look at that. What I could really appreciate about Dragon Marked for Death is, in terms of gameplay, each character has their own unique level. Okay? And what do I mean by that exactly? Well, I'm playing on this specific level right now, but if I was to use another character class, such as the Empress, or the Empress, or the Ninja, or the Witch, for that matter, the level would play different for them as opposed to the way I would happen to play the level. And the reason why that would happen is because they all have unique control sets, and they all solve problems in ways that are different from their teammates. So, for example, while the character I'm using right now, the Warrior, he's a bit of a tank and a brute, he can get through things by brute force. I can hold down the L trigger and down, for example, and just kind of bum rush and tackle things. But if I was to go with the Empress, for example, things would be a lot different. You would be able to swing from certain points on the trees, so I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. You see that green point right over there? If I was using the Empress right now, I'd be able to swing right off the tree. And that gives the game a whole different level of exploration and replay value, because all these levels are going to be played differently depending on which character you're using. That's one of the most endearing things about this game, is just how different each character is. I guess one of the reasons why I chose to play Warrior specifically right now is because he's a bit tougher to play, but he has kind of like a Monster Hunter type feel to him. Now, yes, I did say in the past that this is very much a spiritual successor to Mega Man Zero, and I definitely stand by that comment, especially considering the fact that IntiCreates worked on this game. And the one thing I could tell you is that when you're playing as characters like the Witch and the Empress, they both very much feel like Zero and Mega Man, the Witch being more of a projectile type class, and the Empress being more of a swordswoman type class. And she can also fire stuff out of her arm too, which gives it that slashing and shoot mechanic that's very similar to what we were used to when you would play with Zero in Mega Man Zero. So, yeah, that really makes for some very interesting gameplay elements, and it makes the game in general just have a ton of replay value, like I said. Speaking of characters, I just really like the artwork. I really like the new weaponry. My only one small gripe, though, is there doesn't seem to be much variety in terms of the weapons. The Empress uses all swords for the most part. The Warrior, he tends to use all axes. Now, you do see my Warrior with a sword over here, But this is a DLC sword, and the sword I'm using more specifically is the sword that Gunvolt uses in Azure Striker Gunvolt. So this is more of a DLC type thing. This isn't really like a mainline type weapon that I'm actually using. This thing's kind of special. But I'd like to see the warrior wield more two-handed swords, or perhaps a warhammer or something along those lines. So Inti, if you're watching, definitely if you could just get a little bit more variety in future updates. Gunvolt's sword is definitely a step in the right direction. I love the way this looks. But yeah, I would like to see different types of weapons for each character. Let's take a look at the Shinobi, for example. He's always wielding kunai, but maybe you could give him like a Daito Wakasashi, or a Wakasashi and Tanto, or some type of a combination like that. Or perhaps maybe a Kama and Mariki Kasari chain. That would be pretty wicked. I do have to say, though, I really love what they've been doing with the game. The level designs are incredible. They're excellent, and I've got nothing but good things to say about this. One thing that may be a hit or miss for a lot of people here is the challenge in this game, okay? So, the thing is, not only is it a spiritual successor to Mega Man Zero in one way or another, but there's also a pretty high difficulty level in this, just like there was with Mega Man Zero. Each character, like I said before, has their own unique challenges of getting through the level. And some characters may have it easier than others, depending on what the mechanic in the level is designed for. Now, the other thing, too, that adds to this challenge is the fact that when you want to do special moves and stuff, you have to press very different button combinations for each character. The Witch is a good example of this, having to charge up attacks, having to take your attacks, charge them in even more to build them up to make a really awesome magic spell. Now, while this may be a turn-off to some people, to me personally, it's not really much of a turn-off, because I grew up on games like Street Fighter 2 and the Neo Geo style type fighters like Fatal Fury and Samurai Showdown, where putting in a lot of button inputs and a lot of commands were commonplace back then for learning a fighting game, and being able to pull off a combo successfully is actually quite rewarding in this game. It's one of the things I actually look forward to when I'm playing this. So, you know, definitely, if you're looking for a challenge and you enjoy learning different types of combos when you're playing the game, definitely give this one a shot. You may enjoy what you see. It's a very different take on the genre, but I think it's a welcome addition, and it's something that everybody should definitely check out. Music-wise, the soundtrack in this game is just awesome. It's incredible. I know they went through many different sources to get music for this game, and I applaud them for that. The music is exactly what I'd want to hear. Now, in terms of this being, like I said, this is definitely like Mega Man Zero, but on another note, it also has similarities with another game that was released on the PSP and the PSP and the PlayStation 3 and even the PlayStation 4. And the name of that game would be Dragon's Crown. And Dragon's Crown may have been a beat-em-up that has RPG aspects and is a little bit more in the vein of Golden Axe, but because you have the four characters all with really unique combos and attacks and aspects to the game, it makes the game feel like Dragon's Crown, in a sense that every character just has a very unique feel to it. So, yeah, guys, basically, if I was to give this game a rating, I would have to give this a 9 out of 10. Graphics are beautiful. The gameplay is extremely tight. Level design is on key for each character, and I guarantee you will get a different experience with each character that you play. Now, the levels may look the same. You may go back to similar levels because it has a structure similar to Monster Hunter, where you basically start up on a quest, and you may go to some different areas that you've seen in the past. But on another note too, though, like I said, those levels are traversed in many, many different ways. So, yeah, if you like 2D platformers, if you like Monster Hunter, if you liked Dragon's Crown, for that matter, or even predecessors like Princess Crown, Odin's Spear, Muramasa, the Demon Blade, games like that, I would highly, highly, highly suggest Dragon Marked for Death. This is an incredible title for the Nintendo Switch, and the multiplayer is refreshing, quite surprising, and it's a great new take on the genre. I'd like to see more of these types of games come out for the Switch. So, if you like this review, please feel free to click subscribe and hit like, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great one. Peace!